welcome. How is everybody doing? Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, Steve, good to see you. Mark, good to see you. DraftSnat, Girk, all sorts of folks in chat. On a Friday, too. Appreciate you spending your Friday evening with us. Hello, everyone on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you might be turning into. I'm going to be your host, Zach, from World of Game Design, and I am joined this evening by two co-hosts. I have Jared Nielsen. Jared, say hey.
Hey, everybody.
Perfect. And we have Daniel Fox with us also.
Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Why aren't you out there rolling dice and playing games? Why are you here with us?
Yeah.
Actually, you should be with us. We're very happy to have you.
Yeah. Because the cool kids know to tune in here.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cool kid stream. If you're tuning into a stream that says third-party licensing chat, I think you're automatically not a cool kid. Like, if that got you excited, you're like, I'm gonna go check this out. Then you're my people, but you're not. I don't think that you would be labeled a cool kid. So,
my wife says I'm definitely not a cool kid mostly because I roll dice. But
yeah. I do and Jared's done it. I think once with me. I did a panel all last year. Called. Let me make sure that we're muting this this lovely notification that Twitch puts on everything. But we've got this this panel that we do at conventions called Third Party Licensing Panel. It's all about different RPGs and their third party license and how you navigate them. And I know that if you sign up for part of your con weekend to go to something called Navigating Third Party Licenses, you're a weirdo just like me, and we can have a good time. But I love it. All right, folks. Well, good to see you. Thanks for hopping in again. We're going to be chatting about all sorts of stuff this evening, but mainly all sorts of stuff about Zweihander's third-party license, and we're going to kind of get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to kind of hand questions back and forth between our host here. We're going to just kind of chat. And by the way, chat, if you have questions, I have a few canned ones from the Facebook group and things like that that we'll be asking for sure. But if you have questions about Zweihander, or in particular about the Zweihander license, we would love to field those as well. And you can catch our crew off guard, hopefully, with a question or two. So that's kind of going to be the plan of attack today. We're going to stream for about 45 minutes or so, or until you stop asking questions, so you can keep us here for a while if you really want to. So we're going to just dive right in. If you haven't yet, I'm going to encourage you, if anything piques your interest during this and you're really excited about Zweihander, we are really, really in the thick of things on Kickstarter. We're right under $120,000 raised, which is super fantastic. Once we hit that 120,000, we're going to unlock Roll20 support.
Roll20.
Yes, which is super exciting. And then I think we've already hinted at it, but if not, you're getting, I guess, the first hints. We've got some bonus stretch goals that we will reveal after that are really fun, that we've been working on, and that we've been taking suggestions and evaluating them from the community about what would be cool as like little incentives or bonus stretch goals that we can do. And we're going to be revealing those either tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on how quickly we get there. Okay, so with that, let's get right into it. Jared, I'm going to start off with a question. I'm going to pitch it to you first, and we're kind of going to do this like I do panels at show. So we're going to start off. I'm going to pitch it to Jared, and then if Daniel, if you want to add anything, of course, this is the start of the discussion. But we'll let Jared lead off on this first question here. So, Jared, the first question that I have here is: can you talk to us about what the intent of this license is? What are we trying to communicate here?
Well, when we first had the opportunity to work with Daniel, this was before the acquisition, and we talked about the potential of bringing Zweihander in to the World of Game Design fold. Not just because we like Daniel, which we do, but Zweihander itself. give it time. But Zweihander itself, as a dark fantasy based rules engine, just has infinite customizability, and I think we all recognize that early on. So the intent of what we're trying to do here is to expand the horizon of Zweihander by first getting core back in print so that everybody can have their own core book. And once that's done, we're going to follow it up with a really great setting for Gangs of Cahabro. But then, maybe before or after that, I really think that all of us are really happy with third-party networks that feel like they have complete freedom to innovate and create within, on top of a game engine that's that flexible. So I would love to see 100 supplements for Zweihander pop out of the woodwork. There's no way we can do that. And I think in the old model where there was significant rev share and some burdens placed on third-party people, the biggest thing I hope people leave tonight with is we are opening the floodgates wide open, and we really want third-party creators to just show us what they can do. And if we stimulate that kind of creativity, that's exactly why we wanted to do Zweihander in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that too, because we are, creator first, I think it's also important for us to recognize kind of where we started with this program. The Grim Perilous Studios through Adam and Nick have been, chief stewards along with Peter on our Zweihander Discord, and they've helped shepherd through numerous PDFs and supplements and characters and adventures. Through the program, up to and including several print-on-demand titles. And the thing that we kept hearing, Adam and myself kept hearing from the creator community, is we want the Grim and Perilous library to be more closely aligned to the core game line. It kind of existed on its own for the complication of the game once being with Andrews McMeel. They're fairly agnostic about enabling third-party creators, a very traditional publisher. So, when with World of Game Design, one of the things we want to make sure to do is that, not only just be pro-creator and help kind of people build and grow in that sense, but also to kind of unfetter the requirements of having to only put your supplements on Drive-Thru RPG through one of the community content libraries. And that's kind of where the conversation started, in the sense of what could we do to better service the creators and let them innovate and let them distribute and create outside of the Drive-Thru RPG environment.
One of the things that I'll kind of add to that is, we've been going to conventions for the past couple of years and repping Morkborg, Mothership, 5e, third-party supplements, OSE. I'm realizing I'm wearing my OSE shirt, which is awesome. But OSE projects, all these awesome communities, and seeing how, on my end, how third-party creators are the lifeblood of a lot of these games' growth. I think a year or so ago, it was made clear that, or somebody said that there were 500 Morkborg products out there. Like just with the snap of the finger sort of a thing. In just a couple of years, there were 500. There's no way that a publisher could do that. And then you can see that the vitality of that community is just like going nuts because there's this stream of product, and because there's dozens and dozens and dozens of creators out there talking about it and listening to the community, being involved with the community and giving the community something to latch onto. So I think on my end, it was seeing like, this is the way that games grow truly in this decade, is they foster creatives to latch onto them. And I think to Jared's statement earlier, like one of the first things that we talked about with Daniel was like, how do we, if we're gonna do this, like how do we make sure that we're empowering a creative community to get behind us?
Yeah.
Well, I think we should point out that we love the Grim and Perilous library, and the guys that were in that group, they were so closely knit to it. And we sat down and talked to them about, moving that with us. And they were extremely gracious and are partnering with us to make sure that there's a nice, smooth transition. So it was important for us to have Daniel on board, but it's also important for us to have the third-party community on board. So if there's anything that we can do or need to do to make that smooth, I would really like to see some people that have already written for Zweihander to feel comfortable to refresh their content, and we'd love to help and support. And I think sometime during this call we're gonna talk about how we can support that. But
yeah, coincidentally, looking here at Drive Through RPG, I pulled it up while we were talking when you were speaking about Merkborg. Librarians for the Grim Prowess Library to date have created 368 titles on Drive Through RPG. That's pretty it's pretty phenomenal, given that Zweihander has been kind of in a lot of ways kind of a it's been a smaller game, if you will. But, we were one of the very first, with Zweihander, we were one of the first people to approach Drive Through RPG about doing a program like DM's Guild. And I think that, of these titles the librarians have contributed, it definitely shows there's a deep passion for the game. And, this program we're launching is not just in service to, new creators, but also to honor what came before with our librarians. And we're really excited to see what else we can do with them, to see those creations grow beyond Drive Through RPG and turn into something really nice for them too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should shout out to DTRPG that they've been extremely helpful in helping us get all those Zweihander assets collected and under central management in DTRPG itself. We're super grateful to those folks because they've really been a good host for our library.
Yeah, Meredith and Adrian are amazing. So big shout out to the two of you.
Absolutely. So we talked about the intent, and I think the last kind of note that we can do there, and then we're going to get into a couple, three questions. And again, chat, you're welcome to ask questions about Zweihander or about the third-party license, and we will cover those as well. But kind of, I think the other piece of this, so we know about the intent. Let's talk about just briefly the pathway to the license that we ended up with. And I think the fast answer there, because I remember this very quickly, very clearly, is that when we sat down to say what should our license look like, I think our immediate response was, let's look at the licenses that are already out there that we love, and let's try to emulate what we think is already excellent. Mm-hmm. So we were looking at Morkborg, Mothership, Dragonbane, OSE, 5e, older 5e things, or ideas behind. And, we were having this conversation right during the ramifications of the OGL fiasco. So we were looking at all of these that came before us and saying, how do we build something that navigates things? And not only were we looking at those licenses, but I know I had conversations with different creators who had put together licenses of their own, and we were looking at why did you put this in here, how did you do this, and we also got feedback from some of those creators about this license that we've been working on. So I'll kind of note that was this isn't a brand new license, and you're going to find things in it that are definitely nods to other licenses, and that's because we appreciate that don't break a good thing to some extent. Anyhow, so definitely check it out. By the way, if you want to look at this license for yourself and you haven't seen it already, you can go to wogd.com, WOGD.com, click on the Zweihander tab, scroll down just a hair, and you'll find a little section for the license, and you can read it, check it out, and it's available to the public right now. Thanks for asking, Gridlock, by the way. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so that's where you can check it out. Let's go ahead and dive into a few questions. So I'm going to pitch this one to Daniel right out the gate here. Mm-hmm. There is mentioned in the license that there is a video game exclusion. Are there other types of artistic content, movies, novels, etc., that we intend to spell out as specifically include or exclude? Is there a reason that we don't mention other types of artistic content? What can you talk to us about that way?
Yeah, so this really goes back to what the intention of the license is. We're really talking about Zweihander as a book. So for now, we are saying, printed form, such as a PDF, or virtual tabletop module, so VTT. And this is explicit for supplements. So this would be rules addendums or expansions to new genres or new monsters or new professions or weapons or creatures or adventures or settings. We wanted to start with printed and ePDF to begin with, because that's what Zweihander is right now. What the future bears for Zweihander and other media is still kind of, we're having internal conversations around that. We haven't committed to anything firmly there, but we want to keep this simple to begin with. So as an example, let's say that you wanted to write a Zweihander novel. That's incredible. That'd be amazing. We would love to talk to you about how to help you do that. But for now, it's really about the role-playing game content that you can bring to your table and add to your Zweihander game and bring, additional things we would have never considered, at least in Reforged, to make your game, make your Zweihander game your own.
I love that. I think one thing that I'll kind of underscore that Daniel just said was, if you want to do a novel, and you use that as an example, but the idea being like, if you want to pursue something that's outside the bounds of what this is permitting, reach out to us. Like that, and I think that's going to be something that we say several more times before the stream is over, which is that we want to be accessible. So you're going to have questions. You may not have questions about this license at the moment, but I have questions about licenses once I get into them, once I'm getting ready to publish my first thing, once I have an idea for something weird or different. I find questions, and one of the things that we want to try to do is make ourselves available to you. There's an email address, contact@wogd.com on our website, that if you want to ask questions tomorrow, if you, whatever, like, you can reach out and do it that way, and we want to make sure that we're there too. If you have a harebrained or a crazy or a wild idea, we would love to chat with you about it. I think that's the fast answer.
Well, I'll also point out that we are not a closed loop publisher trying to publish as many books as we can create internally. We're a business incubator. We want to invest in you. We want to give you the resources necessary so you can succeed with or without us. So that's the entire culture of World of Game Design, is to invest in creative projects and be a patron to help you take your vision wherever you want to take it. So please don't hesitate to reach out, because we have lots of creativity and lots of resources and events and other opportunities that you might not get in many other places.
That's a great point. One of the things that we should be clear about is that for the last several years, World of Game Design hasn't just been publishing its own things. It's been working alongside, literally, I counted the other day, like, quick count of almost 24 clients, creatives, that's the better way of saying that, creators, that we have helped publish something that's not ours. So that's kind of in our lifeblood already. Prior to Zweihander, it's something that we've been doing for several years. It's something that we now want to extend and try to help the Zweihander community have the resources that they need, both as a client creative, but also just as a creative that's independent and doesn't have any sort of relationship with us other than they want to make cool Zweihander stuff. And I appreciate
there's another dimension to that too, which is, if you're a creator that just wants to create and you don't want to get into packing boxes and setting up trade show booths and driving across the country, there's so many things you can push off on on World of Game Design that keeps you in the creator chair, and so you can use us in that way as well. So it's not just the number of people that we've created. I hope it's also the amount of non-creative work you've been able to push onto us, so that you can be more creative and spend more time creating. So.
Yeah.
It's just conversations I've had with creators who've worked in the library. Some really enjoy the process of creation and layout, and they want to be hands off. I mean, that's kind of the benefit of what the Groom Peerless Library was before. Others want to create, they want to monetize, they want to market. But the thing the central of this is it being so creator friendly. World of Game Design does offer additional services to take all that burden off of you. And I think that's what Jared is speaking to, is that we do have these other supportive services, from distribution to convention rep management to print services to editorial services, that World of Game Design can do to help take all the burden of all the business stuff off of you, and let the kind of incubator approach with World of Game Design, how we take with other creators, to kind of take that on ourselves.
Yeah, and I think I'll just kind of do a little tease here, but if you keep an eye on the Kickstarter, when we hit our next stretch goal, we're going to be talking about some resources that we're hoping to be able to release to you guys in the near future that take some of that burden off, pretty much immediately, if that's a burden that you're feeling. Do want to say thank you. We have one of our publishing partners in chat saying that we're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate that. Great luck. Let's pitch another question here. This one to Jared. This one's an easy answer, I think. We had a question: are NFTs excluded? Because we do exclude NFTs as a type of creative thing that you can put out. You can't produce NFTs under the license. And the question is: are NFTs excluded because we don't want them at all associated with us, or because we have in-house plans for our own NFT use?
My first instinct is to go rent those big inflatable sumo boxing suits, and I think Tony Vicinda and I need to just inflate up, and we'll have a boxing match at one of the trade shows. But Tony, thanks for sparring with me on that. But yeah, NFTs, I've never seen the reason for them. I don't see a reason for them in the future. I'm a database guy, so if I want to have a unique identifier for a picture, I'm going to give it a unique identifier and store it in a database. So I don't need Ether gas to decrypt a token to tell me where my image is. I'm just going to pull it up by the ID number. And I understand why people like NFTs, but that's fake vapor. We don't need it. There's no reason for it. It's not in our plans. It doesn't even come up. I can't think of any time where we've said, hey, should we do NFTs? Nobody's ever brought it up. So yeah, it's just a non-issue, and it doesn't mean we're being cagey or anything. It just means it's just never come up. There's no reason for it. I do love the idea, by the way, of having collective creations tracked in the database. I think that's a great idea. I would love a system where we could have third-party creators create tables and lookup tables and monsters and ideas and have it in a marketplace where people could say, I'm looking for a pretty cool monster. Oh, here's one that this guy wrote. I'm gonna write this, and it maintains the attribution, right, and keeps track of who created it, things like that. So I love making sure that human creators get credit for the work that they do. And I think if I were to say what our emphasis is, I don't think I need to create a list of what we're not, but our emphasis is we're going to give creators an opportunity to create and make money off of their creations. That's our goal.
Yeah. I think this is an easy statement also, where why is that in the doc? Well, because we saw it in some of the other licenses that we put out, and we said, you know what, we strongly agree with that line in those other licenses, so let's roll it into ours. It seems like an easy button to make happen. Yeah.
I will say that there's plenty of ways to take an image or a concept or a book and make money off it. So please contact us if you want help getting a Kickstarter done for your project. We've demonstrated with Daniel's excellent work and both Zach and Daniel's excellent work on this current Kickstarter. But I hope you can see that Daniel brought a really cool creative property. Zach brought in the wizardry of Kickstarter expertise, and look at what's happened. And the fact that you now have a highly funded Kickstarter with a good baseline that's attracted retailer attention and maybe even a couple of distributors, and you can innovate on that foundation. That's super great. We've poured a whole bunch of concrete ready for you to go build a building on, and you really should take advantage of that. And I will tell you that you ought to hit the interest while the interest is hot. So Kickstarter just is gonna keep going for another 20 something days, but you should be started on your supplement now. Get started and let us help you. We'll totally help it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's a very clear statement, which is the license is on our website because the license is available. So we're listening to feedback. We're happy to hear criticisms and take those criticisms to heart and to conversations and see if we need to adjust something. But license that we put out, we didn't want to just say like, hey, we have an idea. We're thinking about doing a license. Maybe you'll see it in the future. We said when we want to launch this Kickstarter with a license that if somebody wants to go make something tomorrow, they can. Um, Daniel, another question that has come up. Um, we mentioned that we can reference things in as part of the license. You can reference the core rulebook and the content of the core rulebook. The question is, can we use like actually copy over stat blocks and things like that, or what's the line in the sand there between referencing and copying?
Well, I think if we look at what's currently in what creations that currently exist out there for Zweihander, a number of people would typically reference a stat block, and the reason for that is because there's only so much room in a book, and you have to have a certain number of words for a spread to print it. So there's those considerations. But the second is to like create something that's usable at the table that you can use right beside the Reforged core rulebook. We encourage people to create net new things. We want to see new monsters, new professions, new ancestries, new cultures, all manner of new contents that you create and bring forward. That's kind of what we really yearn, is to see your most creative self making things that we never considered in the Reforged book. So, I would encourage you, obviously, take a look at the book and take a look at the stat blocks. And if you like a creature, see what direction you could take it. If you decide to take, as an example, we're talking earlier, like one of the large animal stat blocks inside the back of the Reforged rulebook, create a polar bear, create something unique using that stat block and change it and show us, the sort of cool things you can do that we didn't even consider. That to me is like the perfect alchemy, where we can see net new content using what's currently there. But otherwise, just reference it. We'll include within our style guides that we'll be releasing when we pull all together all these assets in the near future to help you understand how to write the Zweihander way. And that also includes a lot of the editorial approaches we use for how we reference monsters in our own future adventures too.
So to kind of like get a distinct or a straight answer here, not that wasn't a great answer, but just to drill down a little bit. So if they see a black bear is the example that I always use for 5e, so I'm going to use it for Zweihander too. But if I see the black bear stat block and I want in Zweihander and I want to just lift it, what you're saying is you can't just lift it and copy it over and drop it in. There has to be some sort of a modification. I know what my stance is on this, and I think I know what yours is too. But what does modify something mean to us? Is there a clear answer we can give as far as what we're looking for when we say it needs to be modified?
Yeah, I think it's what's the new narrative beat that you're bringing forward. If you're taking that, to that same example before, the large animal, if you're creating some sort of a bear, like what would the abilities be for that we didn't consider? To me, like taking that stat block over and then adding new talents or traits to it, and adding new types of damage, or even switching around its skills or its attributes, like that's like the perfect way to do it. Use what we've built as your foundation, and then modify it to suit your needs for your adventure.
Yeah. And I think the fast answer that I can give, like alongside that, is our goal is not to create something that I have to police, or that Daniel has to police, or that we don't want to go police your content.
Nope.
So our goal here is not to be a restrictive thing that then we have to enforce. Our goal is to be to lay it out, be as plain as possible. And to encourage, like you said, new content creation, but not to give us more busy work about things that we have to go find and keep an eye on. So you play nice and play by the spirit of the intent, and we're going to play nice as creators with encouraging your modifications and your additions. So cool, awesome. I think the next piece of this, and I've lost track. I think we're back to 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're back to Jared here with this. But can you list a couple of, we've talked about, like, we really want to support, and obviously we have the license. Can you talk about a couple of the ways that we're interested in supporting the third-party creator community outside of just offering the license?
So there are things that World of Game Design does every day. Every day we are working on conventions and trade shows. If you have a supplement that says powered by Zweihander, especially that's harmonizing with the Zweihander Reforged, rules, we are going to be at dozens and dozens of trade shows. And Zach will tell you, if you've got product that fits what's going into our trade show booth, we love helping raise money and sell product on behalf of third-party people. And we can give you a list of dozens and dozens of third-party people who have made money through our convention efforts, in no small part Zach's specific convention efforts. He spends a lot of time away from his family helping rep small publishers at conventions. So do you want your product to be at 24 plus conventions a year? Do you want your product to be taken to retailers and have demos run as we do our Zweihander demos? We're heavily investing in retailers this year. We have a Zweihander Prime retailer program where retailers that stock a minimum inventory of our product can have monthly events sponsored by us and in-store signage that promote Zweihander. So if you have product that can sneak in under the umbrella of Zweihander, you're automatically going to get significant amounts of marketing dollars that you don't have to really pay for. Organized play. We run Zweihander events at every tournament, every trade show that we go to, and we have game masters that support it. So we would welcome you, by the way. If there's a trade show that's in your metro area, we would love to sponsor you and help support you to go to trade shows to spread the Zweihander name. So please reach out to us because we have plenty of swag and plenty of resources to help you. And then we have, Kickstarter support. Not everybody knows how to run a Kickstarter, and many people know how to. They just don't want to do all the heavy lifting. If you go, I call it a billboard in a cornfield, but if you build a really cool product, but nobody's driving past it, then it doesn't matter how beautiful your billboard is, right? We can help get your billboard on freeways. And, conventions are freeways, but so are Kickstarters, so are the influencers that really respect our product. So are the magazines and large publications that are willing to talk about Zweihander. If you've got a Zweihander product, we can put your billboard on a freeway, and that just changes the math immensely. And I challenge you to look at our current Kickstarter to see that at work.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of opportunities, and we want to help you.
I love that. The note there that I would give is that if that sounds interesting to you at all, as far as if you're a creator, you're like, actually, I would really like that, or that sounds appealing. This is not a hypothetical. As Jared said, this is something that we're already doing, helping Morkborg creators, helping Mothership creators, helping people in those communities get their product out there. Something that we're super cozy with. And so it's a natural extension for us to do it for Zweihander now as well. So this isn't a pie in the sky, hey, we have this concept. It's already being executed across other systems. We're just incorporating Zweihander into that mission statement that's already out there. Daniel, we are within $300 of revealing some of our bonus stretch goals, and one of them pertains to another aspect of what we want to try to do for the creator community, third-party creator community around Zweihander. Do you want to talk about some of the things that we're hoping to unlock? And by the way, I think the fast note here, I won't steal your thunder, but I think the fast note is we're going to talk about this as a stretch goal. The stretch goal for these things isn't to say we're not going to do them if we don't hit the stretch goal. The stretch goal is to empower us to prioritize them and get them out quicker. They're going to happen within a scope, within one scope if we don't hit the stretch goal, and they'll happen within another scope if we do. So anyhow, Daniel, talk to us about what those things are.
So you want me to tease out or talk about what our proposed bonus stretch goals are if
I
we exceed our numbers?
the one tied to third party. Yeah, absolutely.
Legal.
Oh,
Just that
Good.
one.
yes.
Yes.
The third party resource suite. Yeah. So that's the one I think we're most excited about because I mean, that's the reason why we're here tonight to talk. Um, we know that you know, creators will typically use Affinity or they'll use other layout platforms to try to realize their creations. And not everybody has the chops to do layout. You know, I know a lot of people still use Word or even Google Docs for that matter. Um, one thing that we really think is important to be able to empower creators is to create a resource suite. And this resource suite, while we're still in the process of defining what that really is, it could include style guides to write the Zweihander way. It could include art packs from the books or arts that hasn't even been in books yet. It could include suites, such as template suites, to where you can automatically do your layouts. And there's some other fun things in there too that we can't quite talk about yet. The timing's not right, but the third-party resource suite is something that we recognize is really important for creators like you who are here in the stream, and we want to help kind of empower you with that. So. I don't know if we've assigned a number to that yet, but we're for when one of our bonus goals unlocks. I mean, I think we can collectively agree we didn't expect to unlock all of our goals so quickly, but nonetheless, one of the things we did speak about internally was like the importance of a third party resource suite. So we'll have something to show and talk about in the near term around that.
Yeah, I think one of the consistent things that I hear from creatives over the last few years, and that's been come from my own mouth, right, has been
Mm.
I'm a writer, or I'm a writer and an editor, or I like writing and I have a buddy or a friend or a sibling that does my art, but there's this piece that I don't like, which is layout, and that just drags me
Mhm.
down, or that is super whatever you want to say there, right? It was my hardest barrier when I first started out in the industry, about the self-publishing industry, right? It was like, how do I take my cool ideas and the words that I've gotten, somebody to edit, and how do I turn that into a product that looks good? That's a huge barrier, and so as we recognize that that's a huge barrier for people, and the second highest barrier right alongside it is art. We're saying, what can we do to lower those barriers to entry? um,
Mhm.
and I think that this is this suite is going to be our initial answer to that. So yeah, exactly. Gridlock layout is tough, and
Yeah.
um, you know
Well, I would challenge if we could ask for your help. I know a lot of people have done like Dungeons and Dragons 5e templates or markdown software that lets you, quickly render out a character sheet. If if you have any tools that you think have been helpful in other for other publishers that you think is just would be critical to the Zweihander line, I would ask that you message us and let us know, because we definitely are on the hunt for tools and software and mobile apps that we think that can help you. But we can't really do that unless we know about it. So please reach out and tell us what you wish you could see.
Yes, that is a great note. Like we're outlining some ideas here, and by the way, these are ideas because we're voicing them publicly, so that if you as the wider community like them or don't like them or have additives, we want to know about them so that we can modify our ideas to match what the community is in most desperate need of. So, um, if you're like, man, as a creator, I would love this. Um, that's a great note.
Well, and not to put too fine a point on it, we're looking for help. So in about 10 minutes, we're going to hit a stretch goal that adds, I think it's Roll20 support, right?
Mhm.
So obviously, I would love to dive in and learn everything about Roll20. But if you're a Roll20 expert or you know someone who is, please reach out and let us know, because we can't do it all by ourselves. And we'd love to get help if anyone has that level of expertise. But we also have a lot of resources to bring to bear when we hit these stretch goals. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any other notes on things? You know what? I'll throw one more out here. Like again, this is something that we're already doing for other things. But I personally I will say it's a no brainer when it comes to us doing it for Zweihander. Um, we have several social channels that we've already been put into use, building up the and supporting the creator community. One of them is this live stream right here. If you're tuning into Wogdy Live, um, I think on the Twitch and on the podcast, Geeks Camp podcast, I think last time I counted, we had interviewed somewhere around 200 different creators over the past couple of years. And alongside that, we've reviewed and talked about over 500 different products. And I think that number has grown significantly since I did that math. So I say that to say, like, we would love to help get the word out about your products across those types of channels too. Already, if you have a product that a workbook product or a mothership product or just a cool RPG product that you want to talk about, you can already reach out to me, shoot me a message on Facebook or shoot me an email and say, hey, I would love to come on Geeks Cant or talk to Zach or do an interview of some sort, and we'll set that up. If we have space in the schedule, we would love to set that up. And the statement there is like we're gonna commit to doing that for a wide range of Zweihander projects as well. So the other part of creator support is helping get the word out through the channels that we have available to us. And you have my commitment that in the way that we can do it, we're going to try to do it. And yeah, you can talk to Zach about your day. In fact, Gridlock, you already do talk to Zach about your day. We had that conversation yesterday. So yeah, you can talk to Zach about your day. Or if you're in a tornado warning and you just want to hang out, like, not everybody, please, but sometimes when you're in a tornado warning, you can hop on and chat with Zach about your tornado watch. So absolutely love to. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the range of support that we're looking at. Fellas, are we missing an idea that we had conceived that we want to bring up here?
Not off the top of my head that I can think of, at least in relation to how we can support third parties. I think really the underlying message is, let us know how we can help support you. We've kind of proposed some ideas. We've got a track record of success in the convention circuit, in the organized play circuit, in the print and distribution circuit. But I think that, being able to enable you as creators to create and give you the tools that you need, we don't have all the answers, but you probably do. You're creating actively right now. We've tried to emulate the best of what we see, with our license around Dragonbane, around Merkborg, around the OGL. And, there's probably some finessing we can do. We want to hear from you. Tell us what you need, and we'll do our best to accommodate. We want to make you successful. And just to put a finer point on this, particularly in the license, and know this, maybe somebody didn't ask this, but we don't ask for any licensing fee. There's no licensing fee at all
no licensing fee and no royalty on the back end.
Royalty, no licensing fee. That's absolutely right. So, and anything that falls outside the licensing agreement, reach out to us, because once again, we're always looking for innovative ideas.
Let's talk about that for just half a second, because I think that vision, that intent, that kind of circles us back to where we started with, which is we see this license as like the ground floor. Jared talked about it being in another way being a foundation, but this is the ground level. And I think that there's a reality that I know I fell into as a creative at different times where I'm like, okay, my vision for a thing needs to climb over this license. I have a vision for a thing. Like, I guess an example would be, I want to do a Zweihander project, but I have access to an IP and I want to bring that IP on board, and that changes the math. We see this license as the ground floor, but we recognize that there are people that are going to have situations that are going to ask for exemptions or ask for addendums or whatever, and that's completely cool. Like, we want to welcome that, and your special case, we want to have a conversation about your special case scenario, and if we can find a way to make it work, that would be very, very cool. Absolutely. Jared, is there anything that you want to add to the talk of third-party support here towards the end?
No, History Prof mentioned that an editor is a destroyer, and it just prompted me to think that yes, we need editors. We don't just need writers. We need editors. We need layout people. We need illustrators. We need people who have cool new ideas. We need 3D modelers. There's a whole lot. We need cartographers. So there's a lot of things that if you're not a creator or a writer, there's still a lot of ways you can help. So please just let us know you exist, and we'll get you, considered for future projects.
I think that's a great note because we've been talking this whole stream about third-party creation, right? And the reality is that there's also first-party creation, and we've gotten a numerous really cool people reach out since we launched the Kickstarter and say, hey, I would love to write something for Zweihander. And some of those people are referring to, they want to make a third-party supplement. But some of those people are saying, hey, if you ever need a writer or need an editor or need a layout or whatever, or an artist, like, I would love to be a part of a Zweihander project, that World Game Design, and do it. And the answer to that is, that sounds awesome, and we would love to hear from you. And yeah, Jared said it right. We're going to need help if we want to move Zweihander fully forward, and you can yell at us that way. We would love to hear it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm checking. I'm gonna give chat here just a couple more minutes. Chat, this is a great time if you have a question not tied to third-party stuff, but just tied to Zweihander in general. I already saw one question in chat. I'll try to answer that one real quick. But if you have any questions tied to Zweihander in general, this is a great time here at the end. The question in chat that I saw was asking about the actual Zweihander sword that we're offering as part of the project. Details about it, and can they pick it up at Gen Con? I think the fast answer is the size-wise, it's a full-sized sword as far as I can tell. I'm not a sword expert, but the people that are producing it are, and I think it's like 6 feet, around 6 feet long, and stupid amount of pounds. Like it's a sword meant not as a prop, not as a what's the word, like a replica idea of a sword, but it's actually a real sword made out of real steel, and it's made by a company who's used to making, I think their slogan is something like some of the toughest, sharpest blades in the world. So
yeah, it's absolutely not a prop, and I know that because I've cut myself on it. I have one. I don't have it here because I lent it to this effing GM who used it for a skit in one of his promo videos. But it is quite literally 5 feet and 8 inches long, and coincidentally, it weighs less than the Zweihander Revised Core Rulebook. I put it on a scale. I swear to God, this is the truth. I've posted about it on social media before. It weighs just a little bit less than Revised Core Rulebook, but it's huge. It's sharp. It's stainless steel. It's for real. The handle's wrapped in leather. You can feel the weight, and it is incredibly sharp. So for those who are getting this sword in the mail, we will take every human effort possible to ensure it arrives to you safely and doesn't cut the mail person dropping it off at your doorstep. But we take the responsibility once it's in your hands. It's up to you. It's a vorpal blade. It's a vorpal blade. That's what it is.
Yeah, I would say the note about Gen Con is, like, we're hoping to get these suckers out as quickly as possible. If I have your sword in hand, I know I'm saying this. Listen, this is not for all of chat, but this is to Gridlock, who is going to Gen Con with us. If I have your sword in hand by Gen Con, I will bring you your sword to Gen Con. Yeah, that's just for Gridlock. I'm not promising that to every person who backs at any tier. But Gridlock's cool people, and he's working the Zweihander show. So right on.
What I'm hearing is if people aren't. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
Going to give him a quick tutorial on Gen Con rules and
yeah, exactly.
Safety.
I'm taking it to Gen Con, not into Gen Con. Yeah.
You can't piece bond it like when you're at the Ren Fair. What I'm hearing, though, Zach, is that you're telling me anyone who backs at the sword level but also wants to volunteer to get cool swag at the Gen Con booth with World of Game Design could possibly pick up their sword outside the convention hall.
Yes, yeah. People who volunteer to run games at shows get cool swag already, so why not say yes? So a couple other things that Chad has asked about. So well, let's go ahead. I know this isn't truly a question, but I'm going to raise it anyways. Mike, history professor, is really excited about the possibility of a dark Kurosawa-esque Zweihander samurai setting, and I think Daniel, that speaks to you heavily. So
On a very deep,
yeah,
visceral level.
yeah.
Mike and I have spoken about this before. I love the Sengoku period of Japan, and I have always had this kind of I have a deep passion for it. I grew up on samurai films. I grew up on Akira Kurosawa films. I grew up on all those old black and white samurai films, and I love them. I'd be incredible to see somebody create something like that for the third party program.
Now,
As a
in my previous years, I worked with Mark Arsenault on the Usagi Yojimbo
oh,
product.
yes, grass cutter, his sword, right? Or is it leaf cutter or grass cutter? What was the name of the sword?
I could hit up Mark and ask him if how we get that license.
As a massive Usagi Yojimbo fan, yeah, let's how do we make that happen?
Chaos is asking about what about Zweihander Western? I think we could roll that up at two. That's already like we're not making an announcement, and don't take our excitement and interest as any sort of like commitment. But first off, there's already a really cool Zweihander Western supplement on DriveThru right now called Six Shooter, and you can check that out. It's tied to Zweihander Revised Core Rulebook, not to Reforged, but the rules are cool. There's a lot of cool ideas in there, and largely it's compatible. So I say that as a note of like, if that's your jam, there's already a thing for it, and we've noticed that thing, and we say, yeah, Westerns are cool. That would be something that would be awesome someday, maybe. Then the last question that I'm seeing here at the moment is, this is a great question, actually, really interesting. When drafting up a license, did you see anything from other creators that was an absolute no-go for you?
NFTs.
NFTs, that's a big one. NFTs was like the first. I remember that some of the first words out of our mouth was like, "No to NFTs." None that I'll speak about publicly, but we looked at the best of the best, and that's really the ones that were doing the best work on enabling creators to create the things they want to make. That's who we looked at. I think we definitely all know what happened with the OGL crisis. Big shout out to Len Kodega and everyone in the journalist world who helped kind of bring that to light. That definitely I feel was kind of an inflection point for creators who are not only creating for Dungeons and Dragons, but also other systems and platforms. And to that point, Paizo enshrined the ORC forever with the Azora law. So there's a lot of really interesting outcomes from that license, and the ones that I feel kind of work best are those that are in service to creators first and don't police content, because nobody wants to police content. Nobody has time for it. There's enough stuff for us to worry about as designers and publishers. Create the things that you want. The market will basically decide whether or not your creation is something people want to see. But most importantly, the thing you want to make, you should be able to make that without us having to police that. And that's not in our interest. And that's also something we wanted to ensure we could we would include in our licensing, was not to shackle anyone for what they could and could not create.
I'll be a little bit. I won't name names. I think that's the thing that I don't want to do along with you, Daniel. But I'll go a little bit. I'll say a couple of things that definitely got off the table really fast for me. We saw some licenses out there as we were looking that are like multiple licenses stacked on top of each other that all have like different ideas about who they apply to and how they apply and what you can do with them. And some of them have royalties and some of them don't, and blah 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 blah. Right? Like, and quickly I realized as a creative, even before we acquired Zweihander, like when licenses get that way, when they get overly burdensome and complex and hard to navigate, they really become unuseful to the majority of creators. If you're confusing a creator, they shouldn't be using your thing if they're confused, and they probably won't use your thing. So I think like one of the things we saw was we didn't want to have like 5 licenses stacked on top of each other, and you have to navigate which one applies to you. I think that was a huge thing. And then the other thing that we really didn't like, and I'll be careful here because the reality is we really don't like those right now, and we don't have any intention of doing them. But that the flip side of that is that I understand that there are other people that are in different situations than we are, to where their situation, it makes perfect sense, or it makes more sense, right? So I say that to say this doesn't mean that these things are bad all the way around.
Right.
But I would say the other thing that we absolutely did not want to do that we saw in other places was having a you must submit your project to get approval from us before you can publish it license. The idea of Jared or Zach or Daniel having to sit down at our computer and review document after document after document. Excited about the fact that people are wanting to publish for our stuff, but having to review stuff was like, that seems tedious to us, and it seems like that's a nerve-wracking experience for the creative too. And we didn't see the point in that sort of a license for us. So those would be some notes about things that we didn't want. But again, I understand that for other people, the situation may be completely different. So that's nothing.
Yeah, it works for other creators and other licenses. I mean, but specific for Zweihander, we didn't want to do that, I think, is the big takeaway. And I would also say, add on to this too, confusing language. I'm not an attorney, but I come from the business world, and I write scopes of work. I write a lot of, I review a lot of contracts, and I had difficulty combing through the initial OGL myself because it is confusing in places. And I think using plain language is important. Being direct, using plain language, and using a shared language that creators understand. That's also something we wanted to include within our own license. We wanted to exclude, complicated lawyer speak, but we still need to be explicit and specific within the license. So we kind of took a middle ground there. And to those who are looking at it and reading it, and if they have any questions about it, reach out to contact@wogdy.com. I'm sure Jared and Zach would be more than happy to clarify it for you.
Yeah. All right. I think that'll probably do it for our chat this evening. I guess we'll just say once more time, it's on Kickstarter. I think, let me double check here. Let's see, but I think we're
so close. We're so close.
Yeah, we're now another $100 closer to that edge. But I guess what I'll say there then is, probably in the morning you should check out the Zweihander Kickstarter page, because we're going to reveal some cool new stretch goals. And we'll probably also put out another update tomorrow. And speaking of updates, the other important thing is, if you haven't read our latest update, Daniel announced a little giveaway that we're doing. It's a fun giveaway, which I really like. This was the incentive of the giveaway, or the call to action was of Daniel's design, but the idea of basically, go download our Session 0 free PDF, which is kind of like the preview of the first 3 chapters. You can make a Zweihander character and learn the rules just with that preview document that's free. If you go download it, you build a character. There's a Mad Lib section as part of that. If you fill in that Mad Lib section and then post that Mad Lib section to our core standard comment section on the Kickstarter page, we're going to be drawing and giving away some Zweihander starter kits as part of the campaign. They're going to ship right at the end of the campaign straight to you, just for checking out that Session 0 and posting your character's Mad Lib section in the comments. You'll see all the rules in the update. We don't need to go through it all, I guess. But it's really cool, and you can get some free stuff just by checking it out.
By the way, there are 22 submissions thus far for that in the comment section, and they're all really fun to read. I've been enjoying reading through them all day today. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so cool. Like, I think it just goes to demonstrate the passion that the people who've backed the campaign, that they kind of put their trust in us, and they put their trust in Zweihander, and it just goes to show that we're really thankful and fortunate for your support there. So thank you for sharing out your character ideas from Session 0, and thanks for grabbing it from Drive Through RPG and showing us the type of characters you may find interesting to play.
Absolutely. All right, hey Jared and Daniel, thanks for joining me this evening, and for chatting, and for answering these questions. I think it's been good.
Yeah,
you've been a great host. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hey, that's a great Friday night. Now get out there and start rolling some dice. It's Friday.
Build yourself some characters. You know what? You obviously don't have anything better to do because you've been hanging out with us. This is a great time to go do your session 0 character build and tell us how it works. We appreciate it. All right. Thanks a lot, chat. And until next time, we'll see you later.